Oh, good evening, everyone. Welcome in. It is Sunday. It is baseball, little talk today. Dominant on the other side. So yeah, we're kind of changing up just a little bit today. Oh man, what a crazy! I know you weren't. I know we didn't have a show last Sunday. We had a nice little threesome with Eli on Thursday. That was quite interesting.
Good stuff. I put him in the shack.
Yeah, you did. It seemed like it. That's for sure. Yeah, I know. I mean, I was pretty well surprised he joined us. I know he kind of he does his routes and stuff like that. So his day starts pretty early, and he's usually pretty whipped by the end of the day. So, but yeah, I was kind of happy he was able to join us. That's for
Yeah.
dang sure. So everyone's kind of wondering what are we doing today? Well, it's all baseball, not quite all baseball, and we're gonna have a little bit of Donovan's. It's still kind of a football show, but we're just kind of changing it up this time a little bit. So we're gonna talk a little baseball. We'll have three prospects up in there. We did a couple of them. Well, Donovan's got one. We tossed another one, and I did one. So we just kind of do two each. It just varies on the day what we feel like doing and whatnot. I mean, and for me, I guess I don't mind talking about a few prospects here and there. Well, I guess they call them all prospects, I guess, right? Or should we just call them major leaguers? I don't
Yeah,
know.
there you go. And yeah, and the three guys today, they were kind of got a little bit of that rookie rust rubbed off them, and I'm very interested in them this year, all three of them. So should be a good talk.
Yeah, I sure hope so. Anyways, but before we get into everything, oh, we got a Facebook user. Good afternoon, whoever you are. Thanks for joining us. I'm not sure who you are, but if you let
They use
stream,
Facebook, so that's cool.
yeah, if you let Streamyard connect your Facebook, it just lets us know who you are, so we can actually, put your name in there. It'll let us know who you are and what who you are. But before we get started, here, let me get this popped up. Before we get going here, yeah, just make sure I'll make sure you join our Discord. We got pretty much we got quite a bit of football up in there. I got a little section for baseball. um, I do got some NBA, NHL. NHL is kind of but I got the XFL up in there. So if you guys are all that fiending for the football and whatnot, I actually watched a few games. Watched a couple yesterday. I actually watched the first one. I didn't catch the last one, but yeah, I know I watched a little bit of that yesterday. Um, Bob's over there. He's saying like I'm confused with only one pair of sunglasses. Oh, Bob, you're a strange one, man. I just can't figure you out. But yeah, join our Discord. The link will be in the comment section. I keep on forgetting to put it in our description. And our other thing is too is make sure if you don't catch us live, catch us up on the our Apple Pod. We're on Spotify and we're on Google Podcasts as well. So yeah, make sure you subscribe to us over there. Yeah, if you don't catch us live, yeah, I always try to get the podcast audio version up as soon as I can. I get a little busy sometimes, and I actually had to upload two at a time here the other day. So hey Bob, if you're listening, we're on Google. We're on Google now, so you can listen to us now. Okay. Since he seems like he's like, what about Google? So I'm like, well, fine, I'll get Google for you, man. Jeez, we're not all. I mean, football is my main gig. This so everybody knows. Donovan over there is, he's the main guy. I mean, he's the intelligent one. No, I mean, I'm just a newcomer. Just put it that way. I just been playing baseball for the last 3 years. I got tossed into it when COVID happened. So I played that half a year, just so that everybody knows. I mean, I've only been playing for a few years here, and so I mean, I'm slowly kind of get an understanding of baseball. I just know I've seen a few guys that I've liked that I usually end up drafting in most of my drafts and stuff like that. I try to, so all the prep work it's quite hefty. I'll tell you that, man. Holy crap.
It is. There's so many moving parts, and I know at some point we'll talk a little bit about team build for drafts, and there is about 1,500 different strategies on how you build your team. Some people are heavy starting pitchers. Some people don't pitch, don't pick pitchers for a while. Some people mix it in. I'm kind of, there's a few that I do that are the Kentucky Derby style, where you don't even know what your draft pick is until it starts or right before it starts, and so you don't have any prep time for those, and you just need to know your player base at that point and react to what you have. Just like picking on a turn, you're reacting to the room. If you need a closer, you're taking a closer, you're reaching for him because you know that, depending on the size of the league, you might not have that chance. So there's so many different things to baseball, and that's why I think it's the most fun fantasy sport there is, and it's a grind. It's a grind.
It is. It is. That's for quite sure. Before we get too quick, I just want to pop this up. If your guys are watching, there is NASCAR on TV. I was watching a little bit before I hopped on here. I was finishing up some graphics and stuff like that, and I just wanted to, if you're actually watching some XFL, I think the Battlehawks and the San Antonio Bohamas. It's kind of a weird name. They're actually playing right now, and then the Seattle and then the Defenders are later on. They're about 8 o'clock tonight or something like that. So and the crazy thing is that ESPN is covering most of this stuff on. They'll be on their like Sports Center, yada yada yada. So they'll have their own little XFL thing from what I've seen. But I got a lot of that in our Discord under the whole fantasy or spring football. So and USFL is starting in April too. So I mean, there's going to be quite a bit of football, baseball as well. So we'll get a whole variety. NASCAR's all up in there too. But just want to pop that up there quick. So if you guys want to watch some football, here's some on TV. So let's get back to the whole baseball thing.
Yeah, big week though.
Yeah, it is. Well, hey Eric, thanks for joining us. It's a little bit different, me and Donovan we're a little bit more slow paced. We're not amped up like EI is all the time, but I did see one of the wrecks a little bit. I had Chase Elliott for hopefully winning the Daytona, but yeah, that's a no go anymore. So yeah, kind of crappy, but oh well. All right, sorry Donovan, go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, big week for baseball. Pitchers and catchers reported, so that's cool. College baseball started on Friday, I think it was the first games.
There was actually so there was some baseball.
There's college baseball, and then they're working. Gotcha. They're working major leagues. They're working at the backfields right now. But and oddly, let's see here on Valentine's Day already. I'm going to already put my stamp on this, but Alberto Mondesi questionable for the start of the season with a knee. So just keep that in mind that I'm going to be right. And
hey, well, let's not be right, because I want to draft. I want to draft Mondesi.
I'm telling you, yep, you're drafting him with your last pick, or you're just gonna. Well, one of those last picks, man. That's it. If he's your bench spot, when you start filling your bench, feel free to take him, because you'll just move him to the IL.
Well, let's just hope and pray. He actually stays healthy. Was it the knee that he had surgery on?
Yeah, it's still that. It's just questionable for the start. He could make it. It's just a joke, but
I was gonna say, what? Don't do that to me, because I actually want to draft him.
No, he's not. I just wanted to throw that out there that I'm going to be right no matter what happens. So,
well, if you're right, you're right, and then I'll be like, Donovan, you're right. God, why did you do that to me? I need those steals. It's crazy to think about that. Baseball is kind of coming around the corner and whatnot. I know I never really got into baseball too much, because I was always more of a football guy, and Eric, gladly enough that he's like, hey man, you want to play some baseball? And I told him straight up honest, I'm like, dude, I don't know crap about baseball, but sure, I'll join it. I'll just see what happens. And it was kind of crazy. It was that first year I took first place, and I'm like, what? I won some baseball? I'm like, dude, this is insane. That following year, whole full season, totally finished last. And last year I was pretty happy with my outcomes in most different leagues. And but yeah, we were talking about roster construction. Roster construction is most important for building a lot of your teams. Especially well when it comes to smaller leagues. 10 man, 12 people. Then when you get into deeper leagues, you're pretty much a lot of these guys that say, well, don't take this guy or this guy. You're taking those people in.
Yeah,
Like Mondesi, he might not even be drafted in maybe a smaller league,
yeah,
maybe 12 possibly, but when you're in deep league, you're taking almost anybody available you can get on your team.
right on. For sure. Other things of note: Lance McCullers Jr., the poor guy, he is dealing with some, I think it was forearm soreness, and he's temporarily shut down. So that'll be interesting to follow. He is so talented, but boy, he's the Mondesi of pitchers.
Ooh,
He's either dealing or he's sitting on the bench. I'm a McCullers Jr. addict.
ooh.
Anytime he's throwing a baseball, he's on my team somehow.
Oh wait,
So
was that the guy you were talking about last Sunday a little bit? Was he the pitcher or was that the batter for the Brewers?
let's
McCullins.
talk about Garrett Mitchell. Was
Oh,
last
okay. I thought there was another guy. I was trying to think. Is he on the same team or is that a different team?
McCullers Jr. is on the Astros.
Oh, okay. I think I heard
Yeah,
people kind of talking about him a little bit on some pods or whatever. I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember. And I mean, I know there was a couple. I know they've been talking about some prospects too. That Brett Beatty.
yeah,
I
he's
actually kind
cute.
of liked. I mean, I actually liked him a little bit too. And but he was only up for maybe 10 games or something. Then he ended up going back down to AAA
Yeah,
or double A or whatever which one it was. And he played pretty well. I didn't mind him one bit, especially in a deeper league for sure. I mean,
yeah,
I had him, and then I picked up there was some other guy I think on the Pirates that was kind of coming up too, and I picked him up. So it honestly just barely varies. I last year was my first year actually doing a 20 man. Now I didn't honestly know what to expect from it because I broadened my perspective on guys and whatnot. In which honestly I didn't even mind it one bit at all because it helps you learn to like, well, okay, maybe earlier you need to pick up some more pitchers or batters. It just honestly, I know with the roster construction, it all just kind of varies on which direction you want to go to. And
yeah,
I know, I mentioned in some of the Discord and stuff like that. It's hard to build almost a perfect lineup because
for
that's
sure.
not possible. It's not going to
When it's
happen.
that deep, no.
Yeah. Well, even in smaller leagues, it's trying to build a perfect lineup is not always going to happen.
Sure.
You're gonna have guys that are going to be batting great one week and then total shit the next. I mean, it's all gonna vary.
Yep.
That's my perspective on a lot of it. It's kind of a hope he hits a grand slam. And there are guys that got that power to smack the ball pretty well. And I'm still kind of learning on guys' powers and strengths and weaknesses and stuff like that too.
Yeah, and that's hard. And the way you're describing everything is it's a head to head. That's where a head to head format is where that up and down can really hurt you. In a roto league, they might be down. That's kind of like the stock. Roto leagues are like the stock market where, um, that player X is going to finish with 35 home runs and 20 steals. They might all be, Bo Bichette last year. If you had
Yeah,
him in the first half and you got rid of him in a roto league, you missed out because he paid you back twofold in the second half. He had his entire season in the second half. I play a lot of head to head leagues, so the
yeah,
guy, a lot of my team last year, a lot of my teams tend to be the same players because I believe in them and I want them. And last year it was like almost every team I was just atrocious in the first half and snuck into the playoffs in the second half because everybody lit it up. And I'm not saying that it's perfect, but I stuck with these guys and few of them that I let go because they have talent and you can't be that bad all year. And
yeah.
some of them, like I say, paid back twofold. Some of them just got back on track, and it was just enough to get me in most leagues in the playoffs. So
Yeah, and I have to agree with you too there. And it's just like some of them. I like head to head. I've never tried roto baseball. I mean, I tried like NHL and basketball roto. I'm I'm out on all anything roto. I'm out on. I not it's not my cup of tea. Let's put it that way. I'm more of a head to head. I like stuff that's like going currently. I can add drop somebody quick. Quick as that night, or pick up somebody that day or whatever. So I know I like leagues that are your day ends and then that next day if someone's out you can go and pick someone up right away, and it all matters on the commission what they set up, and I try to set it up to where most of my leagues now are, once that day ends, you know, once that new day hits, if someone does go out, you're able to slot someone in instead of, that
Yeah.
picking them up that day for or that night for the next day. So I've changed a lot of my stuff so that if someone does go out, you have that opportunity to put someone in right away and whatnot. And I just think it's fair that way enough, like, oh shit, this guy coming up, so
Yeah.
but I think I was going to mention too. We were talking about some guys that really kind of hurt us quite a bit, and then Tim Anderson was one of them. I drafted him, and I talked about was it Johan Mohammed or the other guy from the White Sox,
Oh, Moncada.
Moncada.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
I know. I was pretty high. Well, not pretty high. I ended up drafting some of those guys in some of my like category leagues and whatnot. I mean, in my eyes, they did all right, but they were hurt most of that year. So like this year, I think I'm going to stay away from most. You know, White Sox guys, and I mean, I heard that Tim Anderson is kind of up there again in some of those rankings. I just I just don't know if I'm gonna want to draft Tim Anderson. I want to if I want to draft Tim Anderson again. And I guess what's your perspective on Tim Anderson? I guess.
So I have it's a long standing keeper league, 12-team keeper league. And last year I made a trade getting out of the Tyler O'Neill bandwagon, which I picked him up off the waiver wire the year before. And I ended up with Cease and Tim Anderson, Dylan Cease, a pitcher, and Tim Anderson for Tyler O'Neill, and I don't remember, but regardless, I got on the Tim Anderson bandwagon, thinking I'll have, because I also have Trey Turner in that league, so I
Gotcha.
have shortstop and we have a middle infielder, so I got that locked up. Tim Anderson will get me a 300 batting average and double digit steals, and you know that's another case of that first half just murdering me in that league and backdooring it into the playoffs and ultimately winning. So, which is great because that one pays a lot of money. But um, it was a long season. I really had to think through a lot of things, and Tim Anderson put me in a spot of like every week having to really consider what I was doing and making moves. Do I want? And granted, we have too many IL spots in that league, so he just sat
Oh
and
yeah,
wrote,
most
wrote
definitely.
and so it was okay. But long story short, he is cut this year off that. I don't want him. I don't even care. Like he's gone. I didn't even consider him. So it was a risk I had to take. Just I didn't think Tyler O'Neill could give me what he gave me the year before. He really didn't. He was another up and down player.
Yeah.
So ultimately, it was an okay trade. But I'd rather had Tyler O'Neill all year in my outfield than Tim Anderson on my DL. So
Yeah, Lewis Robert was the other kind of guy that was kind of on that same boat. He was there and not there. And I was just looking at NFC rankings here real quick, and he's actually they got him in 44th. I don't even see Tim Emerson in the top 50 at all. I mean,
oh, he shouldn't be. He's likely around 90 to 100 if he
and
had
that
to
wouldn't
have.
surprise me. I don't know. I guess if you actually came down to in a deeper league. Lewis Robert or Tim Anderson?
Oh, I'll take Robert.
He's just
Outfield's so, and then the difference there is, and we talked about Robert last week, and I'm not a
yeah,
big Robert fan. either. I'd take Cedric Mullins. I actually wouldn't take either of those. I'd take Cedric Mullins, is what the real answer would be. If I had to
Yeah,
take the two, it's Robert all day because shortstop's so deep. I don't need Tim Anderson, especially if Robert, that high. There's no way. No way.
yeah. I think
Outfield gets pretty shallow pretty quick right now. So, I mean,
yeah, and it all depends too. I mean, with the outfield too. I mean, it depends on if you got 3 or 5. So a lot of that does vary. And I played in 5. Where you got actually left field, center, right field. So I mean, I played in some of them that were
yeah,
set up like that, which is Eric's team. His league is pretty well set up like that with his outfield, and that's kind of where I learned a lot of that stuff. And the other thing too is. When it comes to like the utility spot too. It's like I've kind of learned in to when it comes to utility, if you can actually find a guy that actually has multiple positions, and it will kind of help you fill in some of the especially if some of those guys are not playing, you can put some of those guys in those certain positions too. If you guys got a first base, second base, or third base, or outfielder, center fielder, so finding guys for that in that kind of utility spot actually helps out quite a bit. Which I think this upcoming year I'm going to try to look at guys that have very multiple category spot, multiple positions to
yeah.
get on my team.
Yeah, a lot of the multi-position players though don't carry the stats. A lot of the true studs outside of your, Trey Turner or some of them gain it throughout the year. Someone was talking about Mookie Betts
Oh
one year,
yeah.
and about I think it was a trade or something on the Palazzo Discord, and boy, it's like I don't know. I'm gonna hold on to Betts and ride out some, but their whole team changed too. I don't think Betts is gonna sneak into that second base eligibility this year like he was in years past. But those are the things that happen though during the year where an injury or just a hole in the lineup, and some of these guys shift around. And depending on what platform, I think Yahoo is probably one of the more generous ones where if they, I think it's I don't even want to quote it because I don't play a lot on Yahoo, but a low
Yeah.
amount of eligibilities to play at that base to qualify for that position.
Yeah.
Um,
I know there was a few guys. I know Melendez from Kansas City. He played catcher. I think he did first
First
baseman,
base,
and then he
DH,
had a little outfield eligibility too as
sure.
well, which I was glad I was actually able to snag him up when he was actually getting hot. And I'm like this worked out really, really well for me in a lot of my leagues. And I
Yeah,
liked, and now that he has some of those eligibility, that capability, he's going to be going pretty high now. And I'm just like, and
yeah,
that's the downfall too. Now, I was listening to a few pods too here where they were talking about O'Neill Cruz. They were talking about maybe him going for 30 home runs this year, and I think 30, quite a few base steals, and him being a monster. And they're talking about his power and whatnot. A lot of the his high, he had one of those huge high, and we mentioned about this too in our last pod too, that they were he had a nice stickler too. It was one of the hardest hit baseballs, or quite a few of them
yeah,
that he might end up catching up with Judge and whatnot. Judge is like he had like 14 some odd hard hit baseballs already. And Judge, when he came back, he's already had 3 already. So I mean,
yeah,
it's going to be crazy for sure. But just like Melendez, him having that many or that eligibility, and now with O'Neill Cruz maybe having maybe a 30 year or whatever, that he's going to be high next year when we're going to be drafting. He's probably going to be up there with that Bobby Witt, and you know um Julio Rodriguez too. So that's going to be I was kind of a fan of O'Neill Cruz kind of when he was coming. I had him in a 5 by 5. I didn't have him. I think I had him in one other league. I can't remember exactly, but just thinking about that now. We had Rodriguez, and then we had Witt, and then we kind of have Cruz in that kind of in that almost first rounder thing for next year. So that's going to be
Yeah.
some crazy.
Well, and then you speak of Melendez, and it's that dual eligibility. And this is now NFC is generally a two catcher format, so that's why catchers get pushed up. But
Mm,
um, looking at NFC data for the month of February, and Melendez was 97th, and he has catcher and outfield eligibility. But then there's the ultimate tax of Dalton Varsho, who I probably can't touch if he's going, where was he? 34th right now over the last 2 weeks on NFC. That's just, to me, too much risk. And I'll play an NFC format in the Great Fantasy Baseball Invitational, and
yeah,
every year I get pinched in the catcher category because it is like kickers and defenses in redraft football. I just
yeah,
cannot, and even quarterbacks. I'm the same guy that I'm the last guy generally to have a starting quarterback, and I am never leave a draft unless I'm playing ESPN where they make me do it.
yeah,
I'll
for
never
sure.
leave with a defense or a kicker ever. I just can't pay it. So
Crazy, crazy.
yeah,
Well, I mean, since we're kind of on the whole baseball trend here, let's kind of get into your guy here. I actually got, the stats correct this time. So I actually got the OPS correct. So I was I was like, okay, let's make sure I got the right stat up this time. so I was looking at is Andrew Vaughn, is he going to be in the lineup this year? Is he?
oh yeah, yep. So the thing with Andrew Vaughn and why he's so intriguing to me is that Jose Abreu is no longer a White Sox, and that opens up first base, which he hasn't played a ton of first base. However, enough to be an asset there, and he should split a little bit of time with Gavin Sheets, who's another deep hopeful that you had to watch. Last year, let's see, because Abreu played first base primarily, and he's such a valuable player. Vaughn did not get as much time at first base. He had 22 games started at first base total, but he's right now scheduled according to Fangraphs. They got him at 85% of the first base duties, splitting with Gavin Sheets and a handful of others. So he's scheduled right now, according to Fangraphs, to bat sixth in the lineup. So power wise, he's about a 20 to 25 ish probably if he gets a full season. He'll probably get a few more RBI batting at the sixth. His runs will be lower, and he doesn't steal bases, so it's probably a good spot baseball wise for him.
Yeah.
I just think we're gonna see. He's been around like 18 home runs, I think it was the last couple of years. Let me see, where was that?
Oh,
Yeah, 15 and 17 the last couple of years. I think if he gets a full 100 and we'll just say even if he gets to 150 games, he should easily have 20 home runs.
Yeah, I
So
should when I do my graphics here, I should put RBI, so everybody just knows that, all the project these are all projections. I just take them right off Fangraphs. I just use those as projections of how many games how many games they might play, how many at bats, these are all just projections that I get off Fangraphs so that, everybody can see what we're talking about. But yeah, it looks like he had he's got 26 home runs, and it's all going to vary on different sites too. Every
yeah,
site's going to be a little bit different. I just Fangraphs. It just makes it a lot easier for me, and they got some of the advanced stats and stuff like that on there. But yeah, I was just looking at RBIs. They got looks like they got him with maybe 73 RBIs. So I was like, oh, that's like maybe that's something I should put on my projections too, because especially in a lot of these leagues, everybody looks at RBIs, how many RBIs, especially in category leagues. RBIs is always kind of a good thing too if you're playing in categories. So you always want to have a guy that's got good RBIs that is actually going to get on base quite a bit too. And then from these projections right now that he's looking like he's going to be on base quite often.
yeah, and I think the other thing with Vaughn is last year we saw a big jump in his batting average. He hit He had 235 in 2021. He hit 271 last year, and so the thing that's changing for me for Andrew Vaughn is if he knows he's going out and playing first base every day, he can be more in the game and in the zone. Maybe 271 is his high batting average forever and ever. I'm not sure, but he should be more of a 270 batting average, in my opinion, than a 135 or a 235 batting average. And I think like when he came up, he played all different spots in the outfield. He played first base, and I think as a young player, you just want to be. It's probably better off if you could play one position. These when you get older and more experienced, then you become that crafty veteran that could play multiple spots. But I think the consistency could help Andrew Vaughn this year.
Does that show what they on Fangraphs of where they're kind of like everything kind of projected at? I was just kind of curious.
For numbers,
Well, that and well, it's kind of pitch or batting lineups, I
yep,
guess.
yep. If you, I'll send you the link that I use. But
Okay,
Fangraphs has projected batting orders,
gotcha.
playing position. They show the depth, so you
Oh,
got the catcher depth, the first base depth, and yep,
oh, you're looking at the depth chart part, aren't you?
correct, yep,
Oh, see, I just pretty much I just type in the player's name and then they bring up all their
oh, okay,
stats and everything like that. I just type
projections,
their name. Yeah, yeah. I just type in some of the projections and stuff. That's where I get a lot of the projections at. So I'm just
yeah,
kind of curious too, because it's always nice to know where they're going to stack in the lineup too, because if
yeah,
they're batting, kind of that. I think is it like 1 through 3? That's pretty good if they're
yeah.
batting more often.
That's you're gonna get most at bats, most chances that hit,
Gotcha.
run, score, the whole nine, steal bases. Obviously, your stolen base guys are usually generally the one or two slots. Some teams put another speedy guy at the back of the batting order so you can get that turnaround again, when you come back to that meat of that order. So, um,
Gotcha.
but the 6, 7, 8 guys are usually get robbed of all the counting stats. So that's kind of where Vaughn's at. But Yohan Moncada is scheduled to be in the 5 hole, so that should change really quick.
Gotcha. And I was just kind of curious too. Because I know they had some of that player where they were going to be stacking a lot of this, and I was probably just looking at the wrong thing too. So,
Yeah,
I
no,
just
I'm
know
looking
I
at depth charts. So
gotcha. I mean, I got well, one of my handy dandy. I picked up one of those magazines you get at the magazine stands nowadays. I don't know if anybody buys those anymore or not, but yeah, I usually pick up some of those too. I picked up a couple last year myself too, and I like the fact that a lot of them's got the where they're at in the baseball field, outfield, first base,
yep,
SS, so that's always comes in handy. And then out the other handy thing too is they give you a little on their prospects too. They're ones that could maybe be called up this year, or if somebody gets hurt. So those are always kind of a nice things to kind of know too. Because I know a guy like me, I'm always kind of busy, so I have a hard time keeping up with a lot of that stuff. So a lot of this stuff kind of comes in handy sometimes.
yeah.
Is there anything else that? So I guess let's put it this way. So where would you
Well,
draft? Where would you draft him?
so ooh, I do not really want him as my primary first baseman. I don't mind him being deeper in my outfield. So if I started off with a good outfield run, he would be a nice, especially in a 4 or 5 outfielder league, 5 outfielder league, like because he's going to have that first base outfield eligibility, and that's
Yep.
pushing him up a little bit. So right now he's like 140ish everywhere I look in the ADP. That's
Yeah.
probably about right, just because of that dual eligibility. You're a lot of leagues I play in. It's first and then corner infield, and then 5 outfielders. So like that just gives me so many options to move him around in my lineup. That's kind of why I wouldn't mind drafting him where he's going. I think that's
Yeah.
pretty
I was
fair.
just looking at. Yeah, and I was looking at the NFC here too. I mean, just for on their site, they got him actually ranked 12th among first basemen. You got your, you know, Vaughn Jr., Freddie Freeman, Goldsmith, Matt Olson, Vinny Pasquantino, Nathan Lowe. I mean, I actually was a fan of him too. So Nathan Lowe, I know I had him in a few teams, but he could. That's where he kind of where Vaughn kind of ranks and where some of these guys are. So
Yeah.
he's under actually, dude. He's actually above Jose Miranda, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah, well, Miranda's going to be another interesting player that maybe
Yeah,
dig
I know.
into a
I
little bit
know.
too.
Yeah, I've
He'll
had
have all
him.
that playing time. He'll have all that playing time this year too.
Yeah, I actually had him in a couple leagues too myself because that's kind of surprising to see Vaughn. Miranda was playing a little bit more than I think Vaughn was. I mean, I seen a little bit more. I guess I seen a little bit more of Miranda just because I had him in some of my leagues. So that's kind of interesting. So it
Yeah,
looks like they're about almost 10, almost maybe 9 positions apart, and just overall like drafting like 135th for Vaughn and about 143rd for Miranda. Looks like,
yeah.
which is crazy. Crazy, crazy, man. But yeah, I guess, especially if you're in deeper league, I guess, you know, would you take Vaughn more in like, like your 17th round pick, 16th round pick? So if you're in a deeper league like
Oh,
that,
deep league, he's gone already there.
you think so?
Oh yeah, he's in a deep league, in a 20-man league. He is a starting first baseman. Period.
So
Um,
so maybe the eighth, ninth round then more likely.
yeah, I think he's probably going to go seventh, eighth round. Yeah, if not sooner, in a deep league,
Gotcha.
like 15 plus, 15 teams. Yeah, he's probably around eight. 20 league, he's probably around
And and
seven.
I and I know you actually, well, I set up a 20-man mock draft, which you and I haven't had a chance the opportunity to do yet. And I know you sent me one here. You said you aced it, and I'm like, no way. There's no way you could have aced a 20-man
Oh, dude.
draft. You know, um, but yeah, this was on Fantasy Pros. You can kind of set up your league to what you're kind of drafting to, and I figured I'm like, well, let's do a 20-man because I want to kind of get the hang of a little bit more of a 20-man league. Because I played in 20-man last year. Actually, had a lot of fun doing it. I was actually, it was nice to know that I was at the bottom of the league to actually make the playoffs, to actually have a hunt for actually getting some gold, and I was pretty well impressed with myself. And I was like, well, you know what? I wonder if there's anybody else out there that maybe wants to, hop in a 20-man league. So if anybody wants to join, I actually got a 20-man league on Yahoo. So if anybody wants to, is wanting to expand their Verizon or Horizon, I don't know, of knowledge of baseball, come on over, have some fun.
Let's do it.
Um, yeah, I mean, I got Eric. I know Eric's kind of. I think he's gonna join, but he's kind of the last minute. But I'm trying to get him to join now, so that I have the people all lined up and ready to go. So I'm trying to remember, when does baseball start again? Because I just want to make sure I have. I think it's March.
March 31st, I think,
Is
is
it
the
March 31st? Okay, I wasn't quite
30th or
sure.
31st.
I thought it was,
Yeah,
for some reason, I thought it was at the beginning of the beginning of March. I was like, oh shit. I was thinking, I was like, I
no,
might have
end
to
of
try.
March.
Okay, well then I got some time yet.
You got it.
All right, so Andrew Vaughn, he's a great prospect, and is an upcomer. So hopefully, if anybody's in deeper leagues, draft him. Small leagues, probably draft him, possibly.
Yeah, probably you could hold off a little bit in the smaller league, but he's gonna go rather quick in a deeper league
Gotcha.
for a first baseman. Period. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, on to Jonathan India. I'm kind of excited.
India.
I'm kind of excited about Jonathan a little bit. I know I've had him in some leagues. I know he's. I know last year he was kind of. I think he was kind of up and down just a little bit, but not too much. I would believe. and I was going to look at it more of his. I was going to look at some of his stats again because I couldn't remember. I know he was pretty good at in category leagues. He was fairly decent enough for a lot of us.
Mm-hmm.
So he actually had 10 home runs last year, which is not too bad at all. I mean, he was on base, you know, not as much, but his average seems like it was pretty low.
So the thing with India last year, if you look at his rookie year, he played 150 games, and he had 21 home runs and 12 stolen bases, batting 269, which is nice. So then in 2022, if you don't know anything about Jonathan India, it looks like he regressed. And yep, some of it is it's your second year and pitchers do adjust and batters need to adjust. And some of it is he played through injuries all year. And that's where I'm leaning towards. And I think this year, Jonathan India is a guy that I'm targeting. If I don't lock in my second base early and get one of those top studs, Jonathan India is my fallback plan, and I'll reach for him just because he's still at a value. I feel around that 100 and now again I'm using NFC data, but
Yeah.
180-ish area. So I will reach for him around early because I have no doubt in my mind he's going to get back up to that 20 home run, 10 stolen base. He plays in Cincinnati. He bats in the 2-hole. So, like, they're going to give him the green light to hit. If he does get on, and, well, I think who do they have? TJ, what is it? Friedel?
Oh,
Ahead
oh,
of him.
like TJ Fried.
Yeah,
Fried
whatever.
Friday.
Friedel. So, like, we don't have this impressive leadoff guy in front of him.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, maybe he might be a great guy. I'm sorry, TJ, if you're listening, but until I don't know much about him, enough about him. So I think India could be on base,
Ooh.
probably more, and then have opportunities to slide over to second for Joey Bats to knock him in or however it works out. But they don't have a powerhouse team.
Yeah.
It's kind of a shit show over there in
Yeah. I mean,
Cincinnati right now.
I mean, I think most of the guys, if you had to go with some of the Cincinnati Red guys, I mean, Joey Votto's kind of been up and down. I know I've had him, for if you're especially like for a streamer, I had Votto a little bit, especially in some ESPN leagues too. I mean, I had Votto just for a filler here and there because I mean he does all right. I mean, he's not the greatest because he's getting older. But I mean, I know he had a little hot streak going on where, he was a talk of, I think he's what 38 or something. He's up there in age. He's like everybody was like, my God, he's still hitting the ball pretty good, and he's able to run and whatnot. So I was like, well, I guess I had a little bit of Johnny. I had a little bit of Joey Votto a little bit last year as well because I helped my team out quite a bit as well. But Votto and India will probably be the, if he actually had to, India, I would take India over Votto. Um, Looks like they actually had Spencer Steer, but I thought he was with the Giants last year. Because I think especially in a deeper league, I know I thought I had a little bit of Spencer Steer. Wasn't he, or was he a Yankee? Was he a Yankee?
No, he
Or was
was
he, but he said he came from
twin.
Minnesota.
Was he a twin? I think he was a twin.
There must have been another Steer then, because I thought there was one that was with the Giants. That would have been a different guy. His name almost sounds familiar, but
It's not ringing a bell at the moment.
yeah, I know I had a little bit of Spencer Steer too. Or it was a name that was pretty well. I'll have to look at my back drafts or my back what I ended up with, but I thought that name sounded familiar because I thought he was maybe a Giant, or a Yankee. I can't remember one of those two, but
The only other notable, India Votto, Will Myers is playing first base there, so that could be interesting. And then I liked Jake Fraley going over there, so that could be another interesting watch. But the team overall, not very impressive. So I think they're going to ask Jonathan India just swing, just hit the ball, just
Yeah.
make something happen. We need something. So if he's their building block and they don't plan on moving him, I think they just kind of let him go. Do what you want. Make some stats. Make some noise for us. So I like him. I think he's still going at a value. Like I said, if I'm not getting an Altuve or Chisholm or Albies or one of those top second base guys.
What about Max Muncy? I know he's a little underrated too, just a little bit.
Um, what is his eligibility this year? So
Um,
he's another
he's
one,
got second base and third base.
second and third.
Yeah,
So he's got injury issues, right?
yeah,
And I'm not against him. I just think I wait and take who's going around there. So that's where you can get your if you don't get a top first baseman, that's where you can get a Crone or Christian Walker
yeah.
first
They got
baseman, or keep plucking away at those outfielders. Andrew Vaughn maybe instead of Max Muncy. That's probably a
yeah,
better.
yep. I'm just gonna say, yeah.
But
Andrew, kind of Grissom's actually going a little bit, just like maybe 10 spots ahead of Jonathan India. Vaughn Grissom. Grissom
I'd
is
take
actually he's coming up too, and
yeah,
I was
he's flying on
yeah
a rocket, man.
I know I've actually did a couple mocks. If I didn't get Harris, I would at least try to get Grissom. I was kind of I don't know if I don't know if I'm able to get Harris on some of my teams, but Grissom is someone I would probably try to get on my teams this year for sure. I've kind of like what he did last year, and he's looks like he's going in projected 172th or 172nd, so that's pretty far down there, and that's just a little bit ahead of Jonathan India, but it just all varies too because I know one guy was well. I can't think of his name now. Big Ben. He's all with Atlanta, so he knows all about
Oh,
them
okay.
and whatnot.
Benjamin
He
Chase. Is who you're
yes,
talking about.
Benjamin. Yep, yep. They
Big
call
Ben.
him Big Ben. Which
Big gentle
so
Ben. Yep.
yeah, so yeah, I know he covers quite a bit of the Braves and whatnot. So he's I kind of mentioned Harris and Grissom at the same time, and I mean, I like Harris. Grissom is probably going to be. I'm not sure where he's at the depth chart, but I know Grissom's going to be coming up pretty soon, or going to be kind of someone to be looking at too. But yeah, overall, I mean, I like India too. But I just know he's going in some later rounds. He's 14th overall in the second base. With the second base part of it all. Um, but yeah, I
I'll
don't
have a
know.
lot of him. I'll have a lot of Jonathan
Yeah,
India this year.
that's for sure. And let's see here. Let's kind of look here. Jonathan India. No, Luis Reyes is actually they actually bumped him down quite a bit, and it looks like he's going into 200. 200, 202. He's actually down there quite a bit. He's first and second too as well. Jesus, man, he must be taking. I mean, I guess I heard he was taking him going to down there with the Marlins that he's going to be losing. His that he's going to be taking a dip this year. Do you think that's possible?
Urias, you
Yeah,
said?
yeah.
Yeah.
With the whole Minnesota trading him for Pablo and him going down there.
I that team. He's gonna be okay. He'll be okay, but he's just gonna be okay. I think he's right where he needs to be.
Yeah,
And
he's not going to be an eye popper this year for anybody.
right, and I see Eric's comment there.
Yeah,
Marlins, it's a weak lineup. It's kind of like the Reds lineup, right? There's nothing there that says
yeah,
"Holy shit!" like rock and roll. But unlike India, who's going to be batting at the top of the lineup, I don't even know where you have your ass at.
yeah.
I just
Yeah, he's
there's
19.
nothing down there. That's a
Yeah,
big park. It's just
yeah.
I'm not on that. I'm not on that bandwagon. The only other person at second base that if I can't get India, I think the next person I draft right behind him is that Thairo Estrada from the Giants to see if he can repeat last year. That's going to be
Gotcha.
the sneaky back end stolen bases. He's going around that same India area. And I just don't know if that's where I'll take India there. I just don't. The second base is just such a trash hole that
Yeah.
I either have somebody or nobody. That's kind of where
Yeah,
I'm at.
I was just looking at more of the, like, these second base guys, and I'm just like, Jesus, it seems like it's getting worse and worse because, after, you got Jonathan, you got Merrifield, which is still a decent guy up in there. Might be the last. Well, you got Luis Arias from Milwaukee, maybe. I think it kind of dips off at Bryson Stott. I mean, I don't mind Bryson Stott either. I mean, I've had some shares of him too, but
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
that's kind of the cutoff there. I mean, there's Lewis. I had a couple shares of Lewis too, but these are for way deeper leagues for sure.
yeah.
So yeah, there's a
Reyes
cut.
might get you some extra runs, but he has
Yeah,
minimal power. Doesn't steal a lot of bases. He's got a high batting average, so he'll be on base, but
yeah.
he's just going to be in the way for Chisholm. Just get
I
out
was
of my way,
just,
guy.
oh, now I was just kind of looking here too quick. Looks like he's gonna have a decent RBI too, about 57 projected, maybe 57 RBIs. Which is not bad at all. I mean, and I know. I mean,
Reyes?
no, India.
Oh, India.
Yeah,
Um,
they got him kind of projected about it's 57 RBIs and
yeah,
about 9 steals. So
it's just that team. I think that's probably low, but
yeah,
I I think he'll be in the 60s. It's not going to be. You're taking India there. You're taking India on the hopes that he gets you 20 home runs and 10 stolen bases,
yeah, yeah,
and we're not going to worry about the RBI.
yeah,
Hopefully, you already
and
have
that's
that
for sure.
problem solved. Because
Yeah, and that's for sure. And I'm a fan of India. I know I've had him in most of my leagues, and I've always kind of, I always, and I never dropped him either. And I just kind of, and most people probably end up dropping him right away. I know. I guess I kind of go through the hardships of someone going down to maybe in that second half, they're actually hitting better or getting on base a lot more. So I mean, I'll take my dips now and then look more forward to, like, all right, well, he's going to more improve once the season. It's kind of funny because I just think once the season starts, there's gonna be a lot of people adding, dropping a lot of people. I mean, I just a lot of that's going to happen. You know, and that's kind of where especially my 20 man, I was right at the bottom too. I was like, shit. I was like, dude, I must really suck because honestly, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So once the season kind of goes on, you're seeing a lot more. You're seeing a lot more stats, and it also comes to that which month somebody was batting, batting great at. Are they going to improve that next month or whatever? Because I know a lot of that matters too, of where they're stadium wise too. That
yeah,
matters too quite a bit. I've kind of learned a little bit too. A lot, especially I guess Coors is the best place to be batting at, from what I heard.
it's allows the most home runs. It's primarily better for Rockies batters because they obviously get more times at the bat, up to bat there. But yeah, I mean, if you're in a weekly lineup league, so the Great Fantasy Baseball Invitational is a weekly set, or I think hitters you go Monday through Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And if you see the at COL, they're instantly in the lineup. I pretty much don't care who they are. They just have a massive outfield there. It's just a hitter's park. And then if I see that at Colorado for a pitcher, it's pretty much going to be a sit unless it's one of those top pitchers. Otherwise,
Gotcha.
I'll give them a rest that week. But
Gotcha.
yeah, there are park factors. It matters for a lot. And then there's parks where you would start a iffy pitcher, saying, like Oakland that has a massive foul territory where the normal foul ball goes in the stands at, say, Milwaukee. That might be an out there, so it just helps the pitchers there. So pitchers from athletics don't have to be phenomenal because they have that extra foul territory to help suppress their ERAs and whips. But That's all
Jeez.
stuff you learn later.
Yeah, that's for sure. Crazy. So, last but final, our last guy we're going to actually be talking about, who actually had a decent year last year, and hopefully he can actually grow on that and have a better season this upcoming season. And Brady Singer from the Kansas City Royals, I'm actually pretty fond of. He actually had about 10 wins last year, and no one really saw it coming, I'm sure. And you know, I was kind of like, all right, well, I think he went undrafted, and it all varies too on your
Probably.
league size too, and he went undrafted, and it was just kind of the same thing as Tony Gonsolin too. He went undrafted. I picked him up, and next thing you know, he went on a hot streak. I think he had very little losses and whatnot. So I mean, it's just a matter of finding that right guy at that right moment to help you with your team.
Yeah, Brady Singer, nice late pitcher to get. Yes, he was last year. I did not draft him last year. I scooped him off the waiver wire in June after his May. He started off, I think he was right here, 3 innings, 0.2 innings, 2 innings. I don't know. I don't remember if he would come out of the bullpen in the beginning of the year, but
Yeah.
then he May he kind of lit it up. He had a 1.37 ERA in May and was just pitching phenomenal. And I picked him up, and he had just an atrocious June, and I dumped him. And then, and part of it was, he
Yeah.
played the Astros and the Blue Jays and the Giants,
Yeah.
uh, but
Yeah.
the nail in the coffin, he had some troubles with the Oakland A's and that. So
You
it
wouldn't
was,
think the A's would be that bad of a team, but you'd be like, well, as bad as they are, you'd think you would just smoke them and just be like, all
yeah.
right,
So
a nice.
yeah, I dumped him, and then he came back. He had a great August and September to finish the season, and overall, he did very well last year.
Yeah, look,
I,
his 2021, he went 5-10, and he went for so last year. Oh shit, nice overtime. I wish I was actually watching it right now because I actually did a couple DFS lineups and I haven't looked at my lineups and I'm pretty sure I'm losing. So yeah. But yeah, he went 10-5 last year, which was I was pretty happy with, so if you had, pitchers, the win column in category leagues, you're pretty well happy with, what he did, got you wins. I know his ERA was actually went from 491 to a 323, which was pretty damn good.
yeah.
I like that part. And his strikeouts, I think, well, he's got projected of a 22% strikeout this upcoming year. And I don't remember what he did where he was last year. I was going to try to look at that.
Last year he had
Yeah.
150 strikeouts over 153 innings, so respectable. He's a decent. He's not a stud.
Yeah.
Um, he's listed as the Royals' third starter, which is probably your third starter. Like I don't think he's an ace by any means. With that, strikeout per, it's a one strikeout per inning ish. So it's not
Yeah.
terrible. It's what I look for. That's my baseline, and when I'm taking pictures is if you can't get me a strikeout every inning, I really don't even want to play with you. So unless I really need a win or something in a category league,
Yeah.
in a head-to-head category. But uh, mining for wins is a terrible decision to start with anyway.
Yeah.
Uh,
And when a lot of times when I draft pitchers, I just end up just a lot of times I end up going to name recognition of who I had last year. And this year, I don't know, I might try to look at it a little bit differently, like which guy, like which guy's whip is going to be a little bit lower this year, their ERA, so I might take a look at more of that and a little bit of their strikeouts too. How many capable strikeouts are they going to maybe have for the year, which honestly I did when I so what I've learned is it's hard to go 50-50 with having almost a perfect, roster, and that's not possible. And I've so in the 10 man I was in, I've actually kind of like, because I know last year I kind of sucked at the pitcher part of it, and sometimes there's pitchers that actually get those two starts, for the week, which is always great to know. Which some of those guys might get a two-start week because that helps you without
Yeah,
having to add or drop somebody. So that's always a bonus too, and I've learned to actually, I went a little bit lesser on the batter position, but I ended up making out well on the pitcher side of things, where I didn't actually have to really add drop too many pitchers, and I kind of learned a little bit about that there, and so you want to actually have, if you can, maybe get a little good couple batter or pitchers early in your drafts, just so that you have that base starts. Then you're going to be better off that way.
I agree. I agree. I think kind of my mindset this year is try to secure um, like third base, second base, um, maybe get an outfielder if I can't get one of those two, and then hard on pitching, and then hard on bats, and then back to pitching at the end. So, like, I'm talking 6, 7 pitchers maybe in a row, even unless there's somebody there. It's like I can't, like Jonathan India,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
depending if I already have that second baseman, then that's one position that it's just such a drain of talent.
And
Third
it,
base is pretty similar like that. There's a
yeah,
couple guys that you really want,
and I think
but
Gunnar Henderson would be one of them, right?
he might be. I
What?
I I don't
Well,
know.
wasn't he?
I
Well, he has third base, right?
He does.
Oh, okay.
He's got the rookie luster, and I
Mm.
think he's just. I love my floor picks, man. I love my floor. I like to know where I'm at leaving the draft, going every year. This is what this guy does, unless something stupid happens and he gets hurt. But I'm a floor guy all the way. I don't buy it. I don't like the Dalton Var shows at 37. I just can't
Yeah.
do that. Yep, he could. It could be the steal of the draft. And you might win it all, but you have a pretty much, we'll say at that pick, a one in, if you're in a 15 league team league, you have a 1 in 15 chance of knocking that part out of the park. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I was just kind of looking here real quick. Gunnar Henderson, they got in the NFC rankings here, and under the third base, they got him 8th, and he's going about 90th overall right now.
Yeah, I can't touch him on under 100, but that's me.
Yeah. Well, I
We
mean, I
just don't.
guess.
We just don't know. We just don't
Yeah.
know. He's got all the hype. He's got all the hype. I'm just a chicken shit. And in a
Well, especially.
redraft setting, I can't.
Yeah.
I'd be gobbling them up all over the place if I was
Well,
to
if you're
keep
in a
them
deeper
fresh.
league, I'm sure you probably like, all right, well, I need a third baseman, and if somebody's, especially, I haven't. Well, I
I'm
know.
probably getting pitching there though, so
Are you? Well,
I
I mean,
think
I know
so.
you kind of did a 20-man mock, and especially in a deeper league like this, and we're talking about Brady Singer, and I myself might try to draft Singer somewhat decent, fairly highish on my end, just because I gonna want somebody that's gonna, I know that's gonna be starting, and I haven't quite put my strategy together, especially with a deeper league like that, and I was just trying to think, well, I was just trying to, even while I was working, I was trying to think like, well, what would be the best way to, get your best depth, especially in a 20-man league, because that's going to be very difficult. And say you're drafting 20th, and you got that swing pick too, and you're like, it's going to be kind of hard for you to, you know. A lot of these guys are going to be going off the boards, like a Bobby Witt, Manchado, and a lot of these guys are
Yeah,
going to be coming off the board pretty early, and you're going to be thinking, well, how am I going to build my roster? And I think we'll probably try to detail on that a little bit too, when it kind of, because I got a 20-man that I'm trying to get some guys together with. So maybe when we kind of do some of the, once we get it together, we'll probably talk about the 20-man a little bit more and whatnot. So I think that should be our plan, kind of 20-man, kind of base everything on that and whatnot. So I think that maybe
I'm fine.
be our direction. Maybe we kind of go on that a little bit, and
Yeah,
and a lot of that will like detail on smaller leagues too, but maybe just kind of concept everything toward deeper leagues and stuff like that.
yeah. Yeah, that's fine. I have a number of deep leagues, so
Well, this will be my second year playing in kind of a deeper league like this. So I mean, it also kind of gives you a little bit more experience too. That's for sure. And don't get me wrong
oh
about
yeah,
that. And
you learn the player pool really quick.
yeah, and that's one thing about it too. And that's why Brady Singer. I think I'm not quite sure where I would draft him quite yet, but I mean he would be someone on my actual radar. And
Yeah,
right now he was actually I was trying to think, and I think he was going fairly late. And it looks like in it
189 in NFC.
yeah, I was gonna look and see. I had it pulled up, and then I was looking at some, third baseman real quick. So, he's they got him ranked at 74th, so about almost the 200 range. And I'm sure a lot of the MV or NFC, is that more kinda like your, like, 10, 12, or is it more of a deeper kinda
A lot of
thing?
it's 15,
Is
so
it? Okay.
it's all over. I think a lot of the bigger ones are 15.
Yeah, I
Uh,
wasn't quite sure because I asked, because I tried asking if a lot of it, if it's all roto or what, because I wasn't quite sure, and whatnot, how it all, so
NFC, I believe, I think is all roto.
yeah, so I wouldn't even play on NSC then, because if it's all roto, but I heard that I think you can kind of set up something the way you want it to be set up too. I think I'm not sure exactly on that, but far as I know, I probably wouldn't be playing on MVC, but it's nice to have rankings
Yeah,
and,
that's
you
what I
know,
primarily use it for. Is this
yeah,
early? Because right now, there's a lot of high dollar leagues in here, so this is like, this stuff's pretty solid information right now. But you got
yeah,
to remember, it's two catcher and
yeah.
uh,
A lot of us are
lineup
playing
box.
in.
It's a little different than your average everyday league. So
Yeah,
yeah, you mentioned the to being in the 20. I think about some of the. I have a couple home leagues that just threw together to have friends do it and
yeah.
to be part of baseball and to get them into it. It's so hard to keep them going, just
Oh,
because
I'm sure.
people are so busy and baseball's such a drain. They play fantasy football, which is like, and let's just say they don't even do it competitively. They just do something 16 days or 17 days out of the year. You
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
play baseball like that. But every time I leave that draft, I'm like, oh my god, I have the greatest team. Oh wait, this is a 10-team league. Like, you know, my bench shit rotation batter or pitcher is like a fucking starter period on one of my deeper league
And
teams.
that's the thing, and that's the thing too is, finding yourself a nice crew of guys that want to be in your league, that that's going to see things through the end and not just play maybe a 1 week or 2 weeks and
Yeah,
be done
just
with it.
uh,
In my eyes, if I'm going to play something, I want to
all
play
the way.
through it to the end. No matter if I'm in last place, I guess in my eyes, it gives me more of a perspective on, well, what can I do better? What can I do to change up what I did this year? What can
Yeah,
so, and it's things like that that I've learned myself, because even when it came to football too, I didn't ask anybody's help. I've done things always on my own to get my own perspective on things. And I was never the greatest fantasy player, and then next thing you know, I turned things around and things came more open, and I was like, okay, well, that makes sense. So in baseball, I'm kind of getting to that point too of, I'm still learning, but it's also kind of fun at the same time,
yeah,
because there's so many more players in the pool. You don't have to stick with that one person. You can, like, I'm done with that guy, go pick up somebody else. So, and that's the
yeah.
fun part about it. That's what I see. And I I'm kind of excited about baseball. I just, in my eyes, everybody wants to win a championship now. I kind of want to win another one. It's kind of fun when you're like, hey, I beat you, I'm good. So it's always fun like that.
Every time you get to the top, you do something stupid and join another one. So like this year, I was chatting with another. It is a fantasy analyst, Jesse Severe. He does the. Oh boy, I'm gonna slaughter this. Trying to see. Hold on. Oh my God, sorry, Jesse. He does. the Dynasty Sports Life as his podcast on the ITL network. And I was chatting with him, and he's like, "Hey, you wanna join a league?" And I'm like, "Sure." And he got me in a 30 team Barry Baker baseball league, and that's salary cap, and we got majors, minor leagues, international money, the whole 9 yards. And I'm just like, I'm just so I feel weird. It's on separate chat boards, and there's an online place where you post all your acquisitions and moves, and it's a lot to take in. And I'm just slowly catching on, and everybody's sending me trade offers. I'm like, I'm not trading this year.
Well, yeah, especially especially if you're taking over a team, and it's like you got to know what's kind of going on first
Oh my God, it's intimidating.
you. Yeah, 30 teams. Yeah, that especially with minor leagues and stuff like that, international. Yeah, that seems like quite a bit of work too. And I'm like,
it's a lot. I took over the Colorado Rockies, and I hope I do them justice.
Yep. So, 20 is my max. That's where I'll stay. Nope, nothing else. I'm good there. I won't be playing any dynasty. I'll just stay with my redraft stuff. I'm fine with that. I know maybe 10 years from now, maybe I'll do a dynasty, but for now, I'm just gonna kind of stay at the redraft and kind of learn stuff that way before. And it honestly, think about it. I've been playing football for so how many years, and just last year, I just finally did a dynasty after playing 10, 11 some years of football.
I'm
So
addicted to dynasties.
and so now I just started a dynasty. So now I'm like, because I have a better grasp on the whole football thing. I'm like, okay, the whole dynasty part. Now I got a better understanding of it, and just learning a lot of different podcasts too, as well. Just learning all the information and whatnot. So I mean, a lot of that comes into tune, and so now I'm like, well, I got the whole dynasty kind of on the graphs, but my whole team, I didn't draft to win right away. So, and it all, so dynasties can be fun and kind of sucky at the same time.
If you screw it up, it's a long time to turn it back around. But
Yeah, and that's the thing about dynasties too, and rookie drafts and stuff like that and whatnot too. So I mean, dynasties can be fun, but if you're more of just a quick redraft and be one and done, and those are always kind of nice too. But I mean,
I got excited over getting Chad Cool on my team for a 30-team dynasty. I'm like, yeah, cool. He's pitching this year, hopefully.
Crazy, but
it's too deep.
But yeah, Brady Singer, he looks like he's going almost 200th overall. He'll be one guy I think I'll be fond with having on my teams this year. So I mean, I know I'll probably maybe in smaller, 10 and 12, maybe it just depends. I might maybe try to draft him a little bit. That's if you got closers too. Scott Barlow is another guy that I had on my team who actually was fairly well too. I mean, he had a couple wins. His whip was, I think, fairly low too, a little bit. Right now, where the heck is it? Brady Singer is actually just going just a little bit ahead of John Gray. John Gray was another guy that was
Singer over Gray every day.
You would, and I mean, Gray was kind of hit and miss. Gray was there. There was times where he was actually good, and then there was times he was actually like, dude, what the hell are you doing? So I mean, I know I kind of had him on and off too a little bit, and I'm like, because I had him, dropped him, picked him up, So Brady Singer looks like he's going just a little bit ahead of John Gray. I was just for some reason I thought he was a little bit farther down. So would you draft Sandoval over Brady Singer?
I think they're pretty close. I think that Singer might give me a couple more wins. Let's see. I have them both up here. Let's see.
I think they were I can't remember. I know we did. I know we covered. I know we talked about
They're really close. They're really close. I think I'm looking at them both here. I have my own little projector.
Yeah, I think
Singer gets the edge for me. Boy, that's a good call. I think they're the same. Singer might have a little more upside.
You think so?
He took some strides last year, and I'd like to see what he can give me. And Sandoval's gives you when you get into 200 picks, I'm willing to take a Singer to hopefully give me a little more.
Yeah.
Where I'm not looking at the floor, unless I
Yeah.
haven't been taking pitching. Maybe I want Sandoval to get a good floor, but
Yeah.
the way I'm drafting, Singer's I'm gonna pick up a Singer saying, okay, I have 1, 2, 3 studs already. I'll take Singer now because with the hope he gets me. I think they got him for 10 wins here. Yeah, I got him for 11. So I have Sandoval for 6, which I don't know is fair, but so I think
Yep.
Singer's
Here
going
we
to
go.
give me 3 or 4 more wins.
All right. Give me just a second here, and I was just going to find something. Since we were on that whole Singer and I think this is it right here. Boom. So yeah, they got Brady. So they got Singer for about 10 and 10, and I actually had to find my Sandoval thing here real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like Sandoval's got his K rate is just slightly higher.
Yep, I agree.
His ERA is just a slightly higher, but I mean these guys look like they're
They're
both
pretty
fairly
close.
similar.
Singer's just, I think, going to have a few more innings, a couple more starts. So that's kind of where I'm leaning. I'd lean Singer by an edge. Sandoval has a little bit of an issue with walks compared to Singer. So
yeah, I mean, I like both of these guys. So I mean, if Sandoval is still there, I mean, I probably would draft Singer myself. But if someone doesn't draft,
yeah,
Sandoval, I might try to take him with my next pick probably because I like Sandoval too. I mean, he's down there a little ways, but he still kind of gets her done too.
yeah, I like him. He's a good. That I think that's a perfect projection for him, and
Yeah.
we know what we're going to get from him because he does it every year. So
Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. With
yeah,
Singer and I was looking down a little bit. I'm like, oh, Sandoval, they got him at 80, so I was like, 217th overall, and I was looking at just kind of seeing who was in between there. You got Paul Seaball, but I think he's more, isn't he more of a closer?
yeah,
Or yeah,
he should be
yeah,
a closer.
yeah. Then you got Sonny Gray kind of in that 200 range. I think I would take those guys over. So I mean, I like Sony too. But later on, I probably if he's still there in a lot, especially even later rounds, I probably would take him too because he was a little hurt last year too. But I'm hoping with Minnesota actually getting some good depth there. I think that he's one guy you probably won't you'll probably end up wanting on your team.
Yeah, I think he's another guy that if you're light on pitching already,
Yeah,
he could be a good I'm gonna throw my dart right now at him. So pick him
yeah.
up. And hopefully, improves and stays healthy and gives you
Jesus.
the stats. But
Do you think do you think Sandoval with Tyler Anderson coming in there, you think Sandoval kind of stays in their you think Tyler Anderson kind of comes into the rotation at all?
I think, yeah, he's definitely gonna be in their rotation.
Hmm.
Let's see.
Yeah, because I got him. He was another guy I had on my team last year, and he did hot. He was hot. He's going to 104th overall,
Yeah.
but almost at 300 range.
So they got Anderson as the 2 and
Mm,
Sandoval as the 3. So Sandoval and Singer they're pretty close to the same guy. You're gonna squeeze out a few more strikeouts with Sandoval, but
yeah.
I just I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but
Yeah.
the Royals just seem the Angels always find a way to spin their tires, and
Yeah. Well, with them having, them having Otani there, it's
well, that's the other thing too. Is their 5.5 crew, 5.5 starter crew,
yeah,
it's just I think it throws off so much stuff. You
yeah,
know, starting pitchers, and we've been working on this I coach a lot of baseball for my sons, and this year our 10U we're serious into pitching this year. Last year was let's just go out there and throw baseballs at people. This year it's let's do everything right. and like my son's going to be the Friday starter, and I'm already telling him now in February, like when we go to practice, you're going to do everything the same. So when we get into Friday, he's going to do everything the same, and because as you progress through baseball, these guys are creatures of habit. Like there's a few that could walk in and throw baseballs, but they're very rare. There's no more Babe Ruths, right?
Yeah.
Like these guys are like they have to do this. They have to wake up and walk out of bed the same way and eat the same breakfast and comb their hair the same way, and superstitions and traditions and
Yeah, that's for sure.
just to be ready, warm up the same way. And so that 5.5 starter stuff that they pull, because Shohei, as he pitch only on Sundays, and so it just throws them out of rhythm. That's all.
Wow, I was actually kind of looking at their in whatever magazine I got here, the Lindy Sports Baseball magazine here. They actually got Singer going for 11-9, and I know there was a few people on Fan Tracks that were fairly close to that similarity, and him actually maybe having maybe 182 strikeouts that's fairly high for him, kind of with Singer kind of being in that. Is he kind of like the would
Third
he
spot.
be third spot? Okay.
I have him at 11-8 and 178 strikeouts.
That's pretty close then. So I was looking a little bit farther down. I don't think we're gonna get to your NFC rankings here, but I was just kind of looking farther down here a little bit because I was looking at Tyler Anderson a little bit, and then you got a guy like Ross Stripling up in there. You got then I get a little bit farther down in almost the 300 range. You got your you got Bailey, and then you got Kenta Maeda, which we kind of talked about a little bit too. He's coming back from his injury, which was kind of shitty for me because I actually had him on a winning team in 2020, and he ended up getting hurt that following year. So I mean, he's kind of somebody that's kind of in that, especially in deeper leagues. I think you'd probably take a risk on somebody like him.
Yeah,
because they got both Bailey and Kente at 116 and 117. And with Kenta, I think I'm not sure where they got him placed in the roster right now offhand. I was gonna take a little bit more look at Kenta because I was like, I know how well he pitched in 2020, but I'm not sure how well he's gonna come back from his injury yet because haven't heard much yet on him. But he was looking at sweet Eric, who won? I guess come on, tell me who won so I can get it over with. Yeah, I gotta look at my DFS lineups, but I was just kind of looking to see here quick who Kenta. I know Tejan. Stenhouse. I think I had him in one of my lineups too. Sweet. Was there actually a big wreck? Did they have any big wrecks? I know there's always the big one, so I haven't quite. I'll have to kind of see if there was a big one. I know they always have that every year. I know Tajon Walker. I know he's kind of way down there too a little bit.
Yeah, it's the guys that are coming off of injuries. I'm not drafting on purpose generally. It's if they fall. So like Maeda for me, just he's coming off an elbow thing, and
yeah,
I just if they fall far enough, I'll take them. But I'm never gonna reach for a guy like that.
And I was just kind of curious too, because I know with Minnesota getting a few guys, they got that Pablo from the Marlins, and where did they? Let me take a look and see where they got him at ranked wise. They got Sony at 85. And so they got him at 65. So I mean, they got him a little bit higher, and he's right about 172 for overall draft. Wow, they actually got him rather high over Sony Gray then. So where did they actually? They must have him pretty high in their rotation then.
It goes Lopez, Gray, Ryan, Molly, and then Maeda as of right now. The other thing that scares me with Maeda is he didn't pitch at all last year.
Yeah, I don't think I heard anything at all.
Elbow deal. He's 35. He was 35 this year. That's just I don't know. I just can't touch them. I can't.
Yeah.
That's just me. Risk adverse.
And we'll probably try to get to more into this too, especially with the 20-man league. The 20-man style we're going to be playing and whatnot. So I mean, it's so I know. Well, I know, and we um Donovan and I will actually try to we're going to try to do it. We'll actually have to get a mock together, which we'll have to try to get that just so we can get a little bit more perspective on that. So when we do talk about it, we give you guys a little bit more insight on that too. So I mean, I know I want to do a little bit more with a 20-man, get some strategies and stuff like that to which way to go, which way not to go, and what's I know there's always going to be that 50-50 in a lot of things too, and I know I've kind of want to get do a little bit more mocks too, just so that I can kind of get an idea of what's good and what's bad, and am I going to like who I'm going to take at these at that time and when I'm drafting too.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to ramping all that up. I know um, I got a number of drafts starting in about 10 days from now. So, and there's
Oof.
slow drafts. The
Yeah.
Great Fantasy Baseball Invitational starts at noon on the 29th, the Tuesday. So that's always one I look forward to. Uh,
Yeah.
I have redraft, no, a 15 team league with a 30-man keeper that starts Saturday, the 28th. And that's another slow draft. We're trying to get a couple of my home leagues, that keeper league dialed in. Those will usually be mid-March, end of March. So, oh yeah, draft season's coming up right around the corner. Just looking forward to all of it. I know. I can't wait.
Yeah, I was just looking here. Wasn't the Elvis Andreas, wasn't he with the A's?
He was.
The White Sox just signed him to I think a 1-year deal here. I was just flipping through my phone real quick, and I'm like, they
Today
signed
they
him.
did.
Yep, just signed him. Yep,
Okay.
yep,
Yeah, he's getting up there. He's long in the tooth, but sounds like they're already needing backup for Tim Anderson.
yeah. Crazy,
Because
crazy.
he's primarily a shortstop. So.
Yeah, but yeah,
Shocker.
since looks like we kind of ran out of time with talking a little bit about Donovan's AFC ranking. So maybe next time we'll kind of slip that in there, or if not, Donovan's more he was probably more happy about talking about baseball.
Oh yeah, I'd rather talk baseball. I just
Yeah.
do football because I just win at it. So
No,
no,
I mean
I like football, but I just truly enjoy baseball so much
yeah.
more. So
I mean, I didn't mind talking baseball either. It's it changes the pace a little bit. And I want to learn too. So I mean, we're both. I'm gonna learn from you a little bit too. So I mean, it's I'm still kind of a rookie in this stuff, and I'm getting a little bit better with it a little bit.
right under my wing here. Right under my wing.
So I mean, I know. I mean, I'm not sure which direction I want to go with all this because I know Eli and I were both football guys, and maybe try to have a little baseball in there too, give a little just give a little bit of variety too, because I know a lot of people are into baseball and whatnot. So I mean and I guess it doesn't hurt. And I know there's probably a lot of guys, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. I'm like, of course I don't know what I'm talking about, just because I'm a rookie, man. Come on, give me a break. But no, I mean, I just I want to put out good stuff too, is along the side as I mean, I know I'll probably ask you a lot more questions too when the time does come to it and whatnot. So but
Yeah. Anybody ever has questions, either in the Outer Rhythm Sports Discord, or you could find the Spitting Seeds Discord. That's my channel.
yeah, yep, and
I'm
I was
always willing to talk. My DMs are always open. That is my handle on Twitter as well, at Spitting Seeds BB. You could find the link to the Discord in my profile on Twitter if you want, or you can get a hold of Jamie and he can get you over to me as well. So
yeah, yep.
otherwise, yeah, we will talk. I'll talk in either place. So my phone blows up and we'll talk. I never mind talking.
Yes, that's for sure. But yeah, I know we'll just try to we'll on Sundays we'll be probably a little bit we'll get more of the baseball stuff on there. on this, on this side. Eli and I will probably be more of the football, and and it doesn't hurt to get some of your rankings in there too. When it comes to um, football and whatnot too, because it just gives a little bit more perspective on I might I think differently from what Eli and you as well, and hopefully people like what we do here, and that's kind of the gist of it. I know we're all kind of it's kind of our hobby now. It's kind of it's kind of our when you play fantasy sports, it's kind of like your secondary hobby. And our wives get mad at us. What are you doing? Sports stuff. And it's kind of like, no, Eric, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate
Thanks,
you
Eric.
actually taking the time out, sitting with us, and little comments here and there too as well. So I mean, it's nice that to have you here too. So I mean, I know you're having fun with some NASCAR at the moment, but I know you're going to be getting into some baseball here pretty soon. I already started my baseball stuff already too, so look out, man, because I'm looking to repeat in your league. So the funny thing is he actually swapped me out of his division because I think he was getting tired of me beating him. But yeah, before we go, make sure everyone make sure you join our make sure you join our Discord. I got the link up in our comment section, along with Donovan's server as well. So make sure you join and have fun, all that great fancy stuff, and make sure you join our. If you don't catch us live, make sure you download our podcasts on Google, Apple, and we are on Spotify as well. So if you don't catch us live, you can always catch us there in the audio version of our live stream. So yeah, so make sure you like and subscribe. Give us a like too. It kind of helps us too on Facebook, or not Facebook. Well, Facebook has that too, but on YouTube. So make sure you give us a like on YouTube. It kind of helps us expand our horizon a little bit. It gets people. It'll help us find people too that are kind of on the same level as us. I'm not far as advanced. Donovan's more the advanced. Just so some of these smaller guys that kind of want to get a little bit of a better understanding. Let's just put it that way.
For sure.
Yeah. So let me. So, anyways, everyone, we will see you probably next Sunday. I'm not quite sure what we're going to be talking about yet, but that time will come. Donovan and I will figure out what we want to do there, and yeah, we'll kind of go from there. So we'll see you next Sunday around 4:30ish. So everyone have a great Sunday. Enjoy. Well, NASCAR is over with now, but enjoy your. I think enjoy some XFL. There's some football on. So yeah. So anyways, some Modern Rhythm. I'm Jamie. That's Donovan. Have a great Sunday evening, everyone.
Take care.